Hello, hello, hello. Great night, great Tuesday night, eh? No, Wednesday night. Wow, days are running together for me again. Um, I've been ripping and running and on calls and things, and I almost forgot to go live tonight. But I'm here, and I want to talk to you about caregivers' guilt tonight. And we've talked about this a little bit on other calls, but this one is, going to go a little bit more deeply into this specifically. Um, and the first thing I want to say is, guess what? Right? Gasp. You clutch your pearls and everything. You are human. So, as a caregiver, you want to remember that you are human. You will not always be perfect. You will not always be stoic and able to just let everything be and not take anything personally um and not feel badly about things, not second guess yourself in the decisions that you make. So, right, give yourself the grace to understand, right? That guilt is a natural feeling based on whatever is going on in your life and your interactions with your loved one. However, you don't want to live there in your guilt. And it's the same, not even as only as a caregiver, but as a human being, right? Your past is your past, what you've done in the past. Um, it is what it is. You do not want to allow that to rule what you're doing in the future and dictate what you're doing in the future, right? Make atonement, apologize, say it, release it to the universe, whatever you need to do to get past that feeling of what I should have done in the past instead, and move forward. So some of the things that caregivers tend to feel guilty about, like if your loved one is in your care and they fall or something happens to them, you feel like it may be your fault that something happened. You weren't providing the right care to them, right? And if you would have done something differently, then maybe that wouldn't have happened. Um, one other thing that you tend to feel guilty for and can feel guilty about is when your loved one is no longer capable of performing certain tasks for themselves, right? So when you have to start taking away privileges from them, like they can no longer drive. Thankfully I didn't have that problem. But that's a very real one. Someone who's been independent all of their lives, and now they're being told by someone, yet alone by their child, what they can and cannot do any longer. They're going to be upset about it. They will feel like you are being mean to them, etc. They may even say things to that effect, and you'll feel guilty about doing what's right for them, like not allowing them to drive anymore, not allowing them to cook any longer, right? Not allowing them to go out alone anymore. That was a key one for my mom. Um, every time she wanted to go out, we were telling her she needed to wait for someone to go with her. We had to take her keys from her because so that she wouldn't go out of the house. Didn't always work, but that was one of the one of the things that we had to do for her. And she was, present and cognizant enough to know that we were preventing her from doing things in her best interest, but under the guise of, we want to just go with you. And she just felt not happy about it, and she felt like we were treating her like a child and not trusting her to do certain things, except she was at a point where she couldn't quite remember things, so she would go out maybe and not be able to make it home, potentially. And we did not want that to happen once we realized that her memory was a lot worse than what we understood it to be. So feeling guilty about that, yes, but it's in your loved one's best interest, which means you still do it. And you can try speaking with them to make them understand that it's in their best interest. But again, trying to reason with someone who has Alzheimer's or dementia doesn't necessarily work, because in their headspace, they are still very capable of doing the things that you are now preventing them from doing. So you want to address the feelings, apologize even for it, and then try to move on to a different conversation. But, at least not acknowledging how they feel so that they don't feel like you're just ignoring them, right? Um, and again, second guessing yourself. If you had only stepped in sooner, if you had only right, had them come home with you sooner, then maybe things wouldn't be as bad as they are. For people who are interested in, sorry, for people who I saw something pop up on my screen and it threw me off for a second, right? Um, for people who didn't have great relationships with their loved ones, they have, and now they live with you, right? And so this is a whole other thing, right? Because, and not even just that, right? For the behaviors that people with Alzheimer's exhibit. Um, the issue can be that, right, you just don't have as much patience, especially if you're not getting respite and able to get away for yourself every now and again. The idea that you are with someone 24/7, or you go to work and as soon as you come back you're with that person and now you're still on, right, your patience levels kind of thin out. Someone repeating themselves over and over again is going to be something that could make you not able to be your normal friendly all the time, or understanding self. So getting short with your loved one, possibly screaming at them. I was listening to a training earlier today and they talked about even instances of when loved ones may get physical with the people they're caring for in certain instances, right? And we definitely don't condone that. And if you're ever at the point where you feel so short and tight that that's something that could happen, and in all these instances, you should seek professional help, right? Talk to a therapist, get a breather, and then start to incorporate time away and to be able to diffuse the situation and not put your hands on anyone, right? But at any rate, when you're at that point where you are snappy and you may scream and spend time going back and forth and arguing with your loved one, right? And then you're going to be um, sad about that or guilty about that. One of the things that you can do again is, right, remember a couple of things. Acknowledge what you did, recognize what it is that drove you to that point so that maybe you can correct before it even gets there again. Apologizing for the activity. Understand too that depending on where in the what stage of the disease your loved one is in, they may very well not even remember that you were short and screamed at them, but you do want to apologize and treat them like you would any other person who you were snappy with, etc. So acknowledge that that's not the way that you would normally treat them. You don't want to treat them that way, right? So own what you say and do, but then also recognize the signs to keep you from going there again. And then the last bit was again, depending on where in this what stage of the disease they're in, they may not even remember that you had that conversation, right? And it could be just a light switch that happened, and then now, right, they don't even know, one, what they did to upset you, two, that you were even upset in the first place, or they cried and then they're over it just as quickly too. So accepting your past actions and moving forward, not making decisions based on your guilt, right? Um, because you always want to stand in your knowledge that you're moving forward and doing the best that you can for your loved one. Even when it comes to having to place your loved one in home care outside of their home or your home, right? Assisted living. If that decision is better for them and better for you, which means it's better for them, right? Because if you're at a point where you're at the end of your rope and so you're incapable of providing them with the compassionate care that they need, then maybe they should not be home with you any longer, right? And never mind, and also I should say, when you are not able to give them the level of care that they need any longer because the disease has progressed past what you can do and what any home aid coming in could help you with, right? So there are legitimate reasons, right? And even if it's just because I can't do it any longer, right? That you would put your loved one in a home. Don't allow your guilt to prevent you from doing that if truly that's the best decision for all parties involved. Because your guilt is going to potentially keep you both in a bad position, right? You're going to mistreat your loved one. They're not going to get the proper care. They may be in danger of getting ill because of it, or having a worse situation develop because you kept them home out of obligation and guilt instead of being willing to let them get the care that they needed elsewhere. And then the last bit I will say is that prolonged guilt can lead to depression, right? Many things can lead to depression, but um, you want to be mindful of not allowing these feelings take you down a slippery slope where now you're in danger yourself as well. So please pay attention to those moments of guilt. When you feel them, try to identify what brings them on, and then take action to correct those feelings, or acknowledge them and understand that it's natural to have those feelings of guilt, but you don't want those feelings of guilt to rule you and dictate how it is that you're going to interact with your loved one and the things that you're going to do in their best interest moving forward. So hope that was helpful for you all. If you will, please interact and leave a comment. Let me know you're watching the replay of this, as well as what your thoughts are and your experiences with this, because it's very real and it is something that you really do want to get ahead of and be in control of as much as you can. Okay. Have a great night, everyone. I will speak to you tomorrow.